Hello class, today we're going to be talking about circles. So when we're talking about circles, there's really four kind of key parts of vocabulary that we're going to need to talk about, and I have little pictures of them up here as well if you need some kind of a visual. First, we're going to be talking about the radius. So the radius is the distance from the center of a circle to any point on the edge of the circle. It's also the half of the diameter. And the formula to find the radius is radius equals diameter divided by 2. Next is the diameter. Diameter is the distance from one point of the circle through the center to another point on the circle. And I have two pictures up here. You'll see the diameter goes from one end of the circle to the other, crossing through the center, whereas the radius is only half. Next, we have the distance around the edge of the circle. We call that the circumference. The circumference, you can also think of that, we don't really call it this, but you can think of it as the perimeter of a circle. It has its own word, circumference, but we can think of the outside. And if we have the outside, we definitely have the inside as well, and we call the inside the area. So the circumference has its own formula. You can see here circumference is equal to 2 pi r or pi d, depending on which one you have. Pi obviously being 3.14, and the area is pi r squared. Again, that number pi comes up. Pi is always going to be 3.14. So we have a couple different kinds of questions to answer first. I just want to make sure we know what the radius and the diameter are. So remember, the radius is half of the diameter. So if the whole diameter is 12, the radius would be half of that, which is 6. And then going the other way, diameter is twice as much as the radius. So if the radius is 9, the diameter is going to be 2 times that, which ends up being 18. Next, when we're coming up with the circumference and the area of these circles, we just need to make sure that we're using the right formulas. Again, circumference was equal to 2 pi r, and the area was equal to pi r squared. So we know what all these numbers are. Pi is always going to be equal to 3.14. Always, always, always 3.14. Next, I need to find, it looks like in this case, the radius, which it gives me already, which is awesome. So we can use those substituting strategies that we learned in class before. If I know that pi is 3.14 and the radius is equal to 6, well, let me just write out 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times 6. And I'm going to use my handy dandy Desmos for this. 2 times 3.14 times 6. And I get this answer of 37.68. Awesome. And then if I wanted to do the other question where it's asking for the area, the formula is a little different. But again, I know what pi is. I know that the radius is 4. So I'm going to take 3.14, substitute that in for pi, substitute 4 in for the radius, squared. And I'm going to use Desmos again. 3.14 times the radius of 4 squared, and I get 50.24. There are 2 more that I would like you guys to work on here. The tricky part about this is going to be trying to figure out what the radius is, because it gives you the diameter and we need the radius. But you guys can pause the video, work on these, and I'll give you guys the answers in class.